Welcome to today's session on ECG. ECG stands for electrocardiogram. In today's session, we are going to cover about the review of the conduction system, ECG waveforms and intervals, ECG leads, determining the heart rate and determining the QRS axis. What is an ECG? The ECG stands for electrocardiogram, which is a representation of the electrical events of the cardiac cycle. Each event has a distinctive waveform, the study of which can lead to greater insight into a patient's cardiac path physiology. This picture represents the conduction system of a heart. The conduction system of a heart starts from SA node, which is nothing but the sinoauricular node, and from there the signals are transferred to the AV node, which is nothing but atrioventricular node. From there, the electrical pulse moves on to the bundle of His. From bundle of His, the signals are carried to all parts of the heart through Purkinje fibers, and this is the conduction system of a heart. So it starts from SA node, travels to the AV node, from AV node to the bundle of His, from bundle of His to all parts of the heart using Purkinje fibers. What types of pathology can we identify and study from ECG? So why do we study ECG? Why do we need an ECG? ECG can be used to identify these problems with the heart: arrhythmias, myocardial ischemia and infarction, pericarditis, chamber hypertrophy, electrolyte disturbances, that is hyperkalemia and hypokalemia, drug toxicity, that is digoxin and drugs which prolong the QT interval. So let us see the waveforms. So this is the ECG waveform recorded using an ECG instrument. So this can be seen on ECG monitor. Here is a static picture of the ECG waveform which runs above. So this can be divided into different parts. The first portion is called as the P wave, and the next junction is called as the R wave, and this next waveform with highest peak is called as the QRS complex. So the minimum value is called as Q, the highest peak point is denoted as R, and the other next minimum value is called as S. So this stands for QRS complex, because this QRS complex is used to determine the major problems in a heart. And next comes the T wave. So this which follows the QRS complex is called as the T wave, and then a U wave. Then again it starts from the beginning. So P wave, QRS complex, and then T wave, and then a U wave. So this time interval between the P and R interval, the Q and T interval, are used to determine the other problems with the heart and the functions of the heart. So let us see that later. So to determine this, we need to place the ECG leads. Leads are the electrodes which measure the difference in electrical potential between either two different points on the body. So those kind of leads are called as bipolar leads. The other type is between one point on the body and a virtual reference point with zero electrical potential located in the center of the heart. These type of leads are called as unipolar leads. So we are going to use unipolar leads and bipolar leads in ECG measurement. So the ECG leads can also be classified as standard limb leads, augmented limb leads, and precordial leads. So this is the classification under 12 lead system. So in general we use 12 lead ECG measurement system where 3 standard limb leads are used, 3 augmented limb leads are used, and 6 precordial leads are used. The axis of a particular lead represents the viewpoint from which it looks at the heart. So using this axis and deviation of the axis, we can identify the issues. And this is how the leads are being placed. For standard limb leads, we use 3 leads. One is placed in the right arm, the other in the left arm, and the other in the left leg. So these leads are represented using Roman number 1, Roman number 2, and Roman number 3. So the right arm is acting as the negative lead and the left arm acts as the positive lead for measuring the voltage 1. So here this is a bipolar lead where right arm acts as the negative and left arm acts as the positive terminal. Similarly, from left arm, when the voltage is being measured with respect to left leg, left arm acts as the negative lead and left leg acts as the positive terminal. Similarly, when the electrode is placed and measured between right arm and left leg, right arm acts as the negative lead and left leg acts as the positive lead. So this is for the second voltage. So this is how 3 voltage levels are being measured, and these voltages and these leads covers the heart using a triangle in this fashion. So right arm, left arm, and left leg. So the left leg acts as the reference. Hence this triangle formed around the heart is called as Einthoven triangle, as it was determined by the scientist named Einthoven. So this is how the standard limb leads are placed with respect to the angles. And this is how the augmented limb leads are being placed. So the augmented limb leads are mentioned or denoted using AVL, AVR, and AVF. AVL stands for augmented voltage of limb leads, left limb lead, and AVR stands for augmented voltage of right limb lead, and AVF stands for augmented voltage of foot, and this is the left foot, and this is the angle between them. And when all the leads are being placed, this is how the angle differ between all the leads, all limb leads, standard limb leads and augmented limb leads. And this is about the precordial leads. So the precordial leads are 6. So these 6 precordial leads are unipolar limb leads. So these unipolar leads are placed and represented using V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. So this is how my electrodes are placed around my cord. And we can classify them into 3 parts. V1 and V2 are being placed around the septal region. V3 and V4 are placed in the anterior region. V5 and V6 are placed in the lateral region. So this is how my heart is covered in the front, bottom and back portion in all the 3 dimensions. And this is the summary of leads. So we have bipolar leads, unipolar leads, we have standard limb leads, augmented limb leads and precordial leads. So my bipolar leads are standard limb leads, Roman number 1, 2 and 3. My augmented limb leads are unipolar leads, AVR, AVL and AVF. My precordial leads are also unipolar leads, V1 to V6. Now let us see the arrangement of leads on the ECG. So these are the electrodes placed. Roman number 1, 2 and 3 represents the standard limb lead. AVR, AVL and AVF represents the augmented limb lead. V1 to V6 represents the precordial leads. Based on the anatomy, let us see how the electrodes are being placed. This V1 and V2 is used to represent the septal region. It covers the septal region of my heart. V3 and V4 covers the anterior portion of my heart. Standard limb lead 1, augmented limb lead and V5 and V6 covers the lateral portion of my heart. standard limb leads 2, 3, and my augmented limb lead placed in the left foot covers the inferior region of my heart. And this is how all portions of my heart are being covered with respect to the placement of my leads. And let us determine the heart rate. To determine the heart rate, you have two set of rules. One is called as rule of 300, the other is called as 10-second rule. Let us see the rule of 300. So using this rule of 300, we have to divide 300 by the number of bit boxes between neighboring QRS complex. The result will be approximately equal to the heart rate. Although fast, this method works only for regular rhythms. So let us see an example. So in this ECG graph, can we determine the heart rate? So here we have to apply the 300 rule. So here let us determine the number of big boxes between the two QRS complex. So this is the second QRS complex, this is the first QRS complex. So the number of big boxes in between them is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So this is the number of big boxes in between the two consecutive QRS complex. So what we have to do is divide 300 by 6. So when we divide 300 by 6, we will get the heart rate, which is nothing but 50 beats per minute. This is how we can determine the heart rate from the ECG graph recorded. So can we see another example? So in this, the number of big boxes between two consecutive QRS complexes 1, 2, 3 and 4. So approximately 4. So let us divide 300 by 4. So the heart rate is approximately equal to 75 beats per minute. Let us take another example. So in this, the number of boxes in between two consecutive QRS complex is 1.5. So divide 300 by 1.5. So 200 beats per minute is the heart rate according to this ECG graph recorded. So this is how 300 rule is being used. Now let us see how to use a 10-second rule. As most of the ECGs record 10 seconds of the rhythm per page, we can simply calculate the number of beats present on the ECG sheet and multiply it by 6 to get the number of beats per 60 seconds, that is 1 minute. So a page contains the rhythm for 10 seconds. If we multiply the number of beats in per page into 6, we will get it for a minute. This method works for irregular rhythms. Let us see an example. So in this ECG graph, if we count the number of peak points, it will be equal to 33. So when the number of peak points is equal to 33, that is the QRS complex is equal to 33, how to calculate the heart rate? And this one sheet records for 10 seconds. So we have to calculate for 60 seconds. Multiply it by 6. So 33 into 6, which is equivalent to 198 beats per minute. So this is how heart rate can be calculated from the ECG graph recorded on the sheet. Now let us see the QRS axis. The QRS axis represents the overall direction of the heart's electrical activity. The movement of the electrical pulses can be determined using this QRS axis, and the abnormalities of axis can hint a ventricular enlargement or conduction blocks. So in electrophysiology, each movement or each position of my pulse in the heart is being measured as a separate waveform, and an average of all these waveforms produces my ultimate ECG waveform, which is being recorded using our ECG instrument, which we represent using P, Q, R, S, T and U wave. So this is how the nodes generates separate waves according to the electrical activity. This is the average of the waveforms generated due to electrical activity of my heart, and this waveform is in general represented as ECG waveform. Here the time interval between each segment, the PR interval, the QRS interval, the ST interval and the QT interval, all these determines the functionality of my heart. So any deviation in the time duration or the amplitude is used to determine the abnormalities in my heart. This is how my QRS axis should be, and any deviation can be identified, and my QRS axis is defined to range between minus 30 degrees to plus 90 degree, which is said to be the normal axis. If it deviates from minus 30 degrees to minus 90 degree, then it is referred to as left axis deviation or LAD. If it deviates from plus 90 degrees to plus 180 degree, then it is referred to as right axis deviation or RAD. And determining the axis, this QRS complex is predominantly positive and this QRS complex is predominantly negative and this QRS complex is equiphasic. Now let us see how this quadrant approach is used to identify the abnormality. In this table, we have compared the positive and negative leads of standard limb lead 1 with the positive and negative leads of the augmented limb lead kept in the foot. When the axes between them are compared, we are able to identify a left axis deviation for the positive lead and a right axis deviation for the negative lead. So here, to determine whether this deviation is pathologic, we have to identify the QRS complex of lead 2. When the standard limb lead 2 QRS complex is predominantly positive, then the left axis deviation is non-pathologic, or in other words, the axis is normal. If it is predominantly negative, then it means it is pathologic. Then a necessary action has to be generated.